Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Your Overseas Home webinar. My name is Richard Way and I'm a specialist property writer and I'll be hosting this session. As you've probably realised, this is focusing on buying in Portugal and specifically on what we call the Golden Three. So that's the three experts we consider that you need to help you buy or move to Portugal safely. So we have Sebastian from Smart Currency Exchange as a currency specialist. We have Joanna from Matt Law, who is a lawyer to provide legal representation, legal advice. And of course, you need an experienced agent to help you find the right property. And we've got David from Olive Homes, Portugal. Thank you very much, three of you, for joining us and giving up your time to share your wealth of knowledge with our listeners. It's much appreciated. So just to remind viewers that whether you're watching this live or if or not, you can catch up on the website where the session will be available to download. And of course, you can share the link with colleagues and family as well. Just to outline how we're going to do this today, the session will be 45 minutes of presentation. And then we do invite you to ask questions as well afterwards. So each of the three panelists will have 15 minutes or so. And at the end of that, please ask questions. Don't be shy. Use the questions platform in the corner of your screen. If you type your questions in there, and then I'll channel them to the appropriate panelist. And again, if we can't get through all the questions during the session, we'll be able to take them and address them afterwards, and the appropriate panelists will get back to you. So that's enough from me. What I'll do is I'll let each of them say a bit about themselves and the property and the company they represent, and then I'm going to ask them questions covering off what we consider the main points that you should be thinking about and the ways that these people can help you. So let's start with Sebastian, who is from Smart Currency Exchange. He's been working there for 4 years and he's been an account manager. So he's helped people move money from the UK to Portugal, Portugal back to the UK. He understands how the currency markets can affect your buying power and the different solutions that Smart can offer when you are looking to exchange and transfer money. He's based in London and he's... But like I said, he's used to helping clients in Portugal and other places. Hi, Sebastian. How are you?
Hi, Richard. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. And yeah, welcome to everyone listening in. Yeah, as Richard mentioned, my name's Seb, or Sebastian. Been working at Smart Currency for about 4 years now. I've been in various different teams. Started off in the onboarding team and then moved to the trading team. And now I'm in management. A bit of background about Smart. So we're a currency exchange specialist and we specialize in people or clients that are looking to purchase property overseas. Been operating for about 20 years now. And over that time, we've helped around 20,000 clients move their currency overseas. I suppose the main focus, the main aim for us is to manage your currency exchange risk within that process. I suppose you may have seen over the last 6 months or going back a little bit further now, the market volatility has been pretty crazy, being massive swings from different currencies. The sterling euro, for example, over the last 6 months has moved around 10% from the lowest point to the highest point. And when you're talking about moving large sums of currency for a property purchase, that can have a huge impact on how much that property is going to cost you. So ultimately what we do is we manage that risk. We assign you to an account manager who can talk you through the options that you have, utilising different tools, ensuring that you're not getting caught out when it comes to actually moving the funds across for your property purchase. Yeah, we're looking to, I suppose, handhold you throughout the whole process.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I bet you're relieved, you and your colleagues, to see it settling down a bit now, the exchange rate, after the sort of last 3 or 4 weeks. Is that the expectation now? It is going to settle down a bit with the government, the change in the government or the leadership? the cabinet?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, no one's got a crystal ball, and it's something that we have to tell our clients. You know, we're managing their risk. We'd love to be able to tell you which direction the currency is going to go in, but unfortunately, we just can't. There is a bit more stability looking forwards. You know, the markets have somewhat recovered, but that's not to say that, you know, there might be a political decision or something that comes out in the news which will impact these markets. So it's always important to be aware of these announcements, be aware of your options to ensure that you aren't leaving it to the last minute and getting caught out.
Which is exactly why people should use smart currency exchange, because they get this sort of this extra knowledge and specialist knowledge about currency markets. Just tell us why, that aside, you get the extra personal service knowledge, but some people might still decide to go to their bank, high street bank, to move their money to Portugal, and this is a big no-no. Just tell us why you're a better option.
Yeah, sure. So it's a common question that comes up quite a lot. You know, how do we compare to banks? And banks are very transactional, which is fine, I suppose, if you're moving small sums of currency. But when you're talking about moving large sums of currency for something like a property purchase, a small movement within that market or timing that market badly can have huge repercussions on, you know, how many euros you're going to get at the end of the day. So what we do is we assign you to, I suppose, a specialized account manager who will go through in detail about your plans, understand where you are within the process, but also understand your budget. Your euro price that you agree for the property will always remain the same. The price that will be fluctuating with the markets is your sterling price. So it's all about understanding, you know, how much risk you'd like to take on the markets, and then utilizing the options that you have available, which our account managers talk you through, and then obviously you make the decision on what you'd like to do.
Okay, we'll go back to the solutions in a minute, and we'll talk about forward contracts and where you're using. But just before we do that, can you just go right back to when a client first comes to you? Because when you're signing up to a new financial service, you know, you want to know exactly the process and that your money's safe, all those sorts of things. So a client comes to Smart. Talk us through the steps of opening an account, and then how you actually make your first transaction, and how you move money into the Smart account, etc.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I've kind of been on every team here at Smart from the very beginning of the journey. If you were to join on and sign up with us, you'll be called initially by one of our onboarding team, who will, understand your requirements in a bit more detail. Each client's requirements are unique, and they require, different skills, but also different attention to where you are within the process. So once you've had that initial phone call, you'll go through the application process where we will take down your requirements, but also some basic contact information and proof of address and things like that, so we know you are who you say you are. Once that's all been set up, you'll then be assigned to a account manager or one of our traders, who will be country specific. So depending on where you're looking to purchase property or move currency to, they'll be the specialist who will give you guidance around timings, but also what kind of options you've got. As your plans progress, our account management team will guide you through that process and be in constant contact with you until the point you actually book in that exchange. Once the exchange is booked in, it's fairly straightforward. It's just a standard bank transfer from your client account to our client account, which is a Barclays ring-fenced account. So we never actually touch your funds throughout the whole process. Once you're in that account, we'll notify you and we'll ask you where you'd like us to deposit, your desired currency. So whether that's euros, US dollars, or whatever it may be. Once you've notified us of where that currency would like to go, we'll deposit in that bank account. It normally takes around, half a day to 24 hours to actually reach that destination.
Okay, and that's key, isn't it? Any time during the process, clients can call their account manager or email them and talk through what their plans or how far they are in the buying process, which obviously you're not going to get with banks anyway. You won't get that level of service. And at what stage do you recommend clients start talking to Smart Currency Exchange? I'm thinking before they even start buying or looking, so they have money ready. I mean, is that generally what you recommend?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We always say that the more time you have, the better when it comes to currency exchange. A lot of people are under the impression that this is part of the process that comes right at the end. When you find your property, the problem with that is, if you find a property perhaps at a bad time within the market, you are constrained to getting those euros across there at an unpreferable time, and it can cost you, as it says, up to 10% over the last 6 months more expensive. So the earlier the better. We say right at the beginning of the search, you should be talking to a currency specialist. First of all, understand your budget in the desired currency, but also understand perhaps the movements that could be affecting your budget, but also the options that you can use to minimize that risk or eliminate the risk that you'll be exposed to. We're here to offer you guidance ultimately and offer you our expertise around the process, not so much just the currency exchange side of things, but also the whole process, and so hold your hand throughout that to ensure that there are no nasty surprises.
Okay, thanks. Good point to talk about the different contracts now. So start with a simple spot contract, and then let's talk about the forward contract. Spot contract.
Yeah, spot contract's fairly straightforward. I suppose if you're looking to book an exchange in today, we'll give you a rate of what that may be, and it's just a simple transaction on the day. A forward contract is a really great tool for when someone's looking to purchase property. A lot of these property purchases overseas, they have, I suppose, different payments. First, it will be the deposit. And then second, a bit further down the line, will actually be the lump sum that goes across. As I said before, the euro price that you agree for that property will always remain the same. The sterling price will be the one that's moving around. So with a forward contract, what it allows you to do, it allows you to fix in a rate at a preferable time within the market or within where you are within the process for up to 12 months. What that means is, once you fix in that rate, any movement that goes against you doesn't affect how many euros you're going to get. But also, on the other hand, if the market does go the other way and improves, you're still going to be receiving the same amount of euros that you fixed in at that time. So it allows you to forecast. It protects you from the risk. But again, you can also perhaps risk a certain percentage of how much you're looking to move. But it's independent. I suppose it's unique depending on the client's requirements and what they'd like to do.
So just to put that in a real life scenario, I've gone out to Villamora. David's found me the perfect villa, 700,000 euros, whatever. I want it, make an offer, it's accepted. Is that when I ring you? Is that when clients generally will say, right, I know it's going to cost me 700,000 euros. I want to know what that's going to cost me in sterling from today and when I come to complete in 2 months' time. So I can ring my account manager and ask for a forward contract for either the full amount or half of it. And I know from that point, once we agree what that rate will be, that's fixed until completion. So regardless of what the exchange rate is on the day of completion, I've got that secured. When do people generally fix a forward contract with you? Is it at the point of agreeing to buy somewhere, or will they do it before that?
Yeah, it's a majority of the time. I would say it's when they've actually found a property, and they've agreed a price. They feel like it's going through the steps, and they want to secure exactly how much it's going to cost them. We do have examples of clients that perhaps have been watching the markets themselves, or have been in conversations with one of our account managers. It is a really good time to perhaps lock in a rate. They know they're going to be buying a property. They can secure that rate for 12 months, and they book it in at that preferable time within the market. So it's really dependent on the client, what they're looking to do, where they are within the process. But predominantly, I think once the offer's been accepted, we normally say, let's eliminate that currency risk. We never know, what's going to happen to impact these markets, and the downside, we always feel is worse than whatever the upside could be in taking that risk. We have examples of people taking the risk. The market moves quite drastically the wrong way, and then they miss out on the property purchase because it's no longer affordable.
Okay. Just conscious of the time. So you also offer the service of buying currency when it hits a certain exchange rate as well?
Yeah.
What do you call it? A limit option or?
Yeah, we've got a couple. So there's also order to calls where if you're looking for at a certain point within the market, we can give you a call when it hits that time. Your account manager will get in touch, or an order to buy where we automatically buy when it hits that market, at that point in the market. So as you say, there's a lot of options available to clients, and that's why it's so important that they do get in touch as early as possible to understand the options they got available, and then when they can take appropriate action.
And also, let's not forget, you can help your clients with ongoing transfers, things like sending money over to Portugal regularly to maintain their property, or if they're moving over there. I know there are clients who have pensions that they move. They get pensions in sterling and they want to move it over regularly to Portugal. You can set those up, and you can combine that with forward contracts, so you can fix a rate for 6 months worth or a year's worth of your pension. So you've got all that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we sort of have a team that once you've bought your property and purchased your property, we have a team that then looks after you for your reoccurring payments. A lot of our clients are living overseas. They will be moving pensions or living costs across. It's a similar sort of situation. You never know how many euros you're going to get until you've actually booked in a contract. So we guide you through that process and ensure that you're using the right contract or the right tool to really get the most out of your money.
Okay. And also we should mention as well that you've got an online service as well, so people can arrange transfers using the website.
Yeah, well. Yeah, very quick and very easy. Everything can be done online, but if you're sort of one of those people that would rather speak to someone, of course we'll be on hand to answer the phone and then talk you through it and obviously book in those contracts.
Great, thank you very much. We could talk much longer about this, but we have to move on now to our next panelist. Thank you, Seb. And again, questions about currency, you can ask them now and we'll get to them towards the end. David, hi, David. How are you? You're out in, you're in Villamora, you were saying?
Yeah, Villamora, Algarve, nice and sunny always. So yeah, that's where I'm based and I've been for sort of 15 years now.
Yeah, and just tell us about how you arrived in Portugal. What did you go out as a buyer?
By car? No. Well, no, I basically decided I would come out when I was reasonably young and see if I could sort of make a living out here, and that's how and then I sort of ended up selling property, working for another company, did it for 5 years, then decided I was self-employed back in the UK as a sort of finance broker. After 5 years of working for another company, I felt that I could do it better myself, and so I've been self-employed now for the past 10 years. Now running olivehomes.com. We're based in the central Algarve, and just to give a little bit of background, so we now believe we've got one of the best selection of properties available for the clients across a different range, so that's great. We offer services in that we cover not just the property, everything else that a client might need. So we're happy to introduce lawyers. We're happy to introduce furniture companies, make sure they open a bank account, help with mortgages, make sure the utilities are connected. If they need a survey, we can do that. If they need some work being done on the property, we can arrange that to be done as well with people we know and trust and have done for a long time. So basically, it's different than buying a property in the UK. Obviously, in the UK, people know how the systems work. Here, the service we provide is totally different in that, we're happy to meet the client, show them around the areas. I was with a client today, never been here before, so we spent some time in Villamora, in Cortera, going around, taking them to the beach, taking them to different cafes. I'm with them again tomorrow, so they said today it's fantastic. Now we really like the area, that was wonderful, and now we can sort of look at finding the right property for them tomorrow. So it's not just 2 or 3 hours just looking at different properties. It's more of a journey for us and them, so that we get to have a really good idea as to what the clients are after. Are they focused on investment and making money? Is it more of a lifestyle decision as to what they really want as a quality of life? Usually it's a combination between the two. And then if we find that property we'll help them make the offer, help with all of the process along the way, explain everything, hold their hands. Usually I tell clients, even if they forget everything I tell them on day one, it doesn't matter, because every step I'll be saying, okay, this is what happens next. Now we do this, now we do that. And then basically nothing's too much trouble in terms of all the after sales service and making sure this is done correctly. For the weekend, I bought a couple of TVs for a client who said, can you help out? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know where to get them. Got them delivered, all installed, internet connected, British TV channels. So for me, that's a piece of cake. Of course, my staff help me with that as well. But for the clients, it's just the unknown. So we just make sure we just do everything we can. If people want to look on our website, they'll see our client testimonials is the actual pictures of clients who agreed for us to do that, with some nice words. Just genuinely is, in terms of Olive Homes, hardworking company. We go the extra mile and try just to take care of everything we can to give a complete service.
So is it fair to say that, unlike people looking in the UK, if you're British, you would look around at different properties and then you go to the agent who's got their board outside? When they're coming to the Algarve, they really only need to speak to and actually appoint one person, one agent like yourself, and then you'll be, if you like, their eyes and ears on the ground looking for property. And you'll cover, you cover the whole of the Algarve, so you'll go out and find properties that match their wish list, because obviously if they're based in the UK or another country, they can't be hopping over constantly to go and look at properties and then chasing different agents. So they'll work just through you. And with that, they get the full comprehensive service that you've just talked about.
Yeah, I can't think of anything worse really than seeing sort of 4 or 5 different agents and having to explain to every single one what your requirements are. So hopefully if they first approach us and we contact them, normally we try to recommend to do a Zoom call, because it's amazing how, like we're doing today, but 30 minutes on a Zoom call, I'm more relaxed because I've dedicated time for it. The clients are more relaxed because they've dedicated time for it. If it's a phone call, either myself or the clients are probably busy and we've got something else to do. But with a Zoom call, we can all stop, relax, and understand what's going on. So if we do that, normally a client contacts us, we do the Zoom call, and usually that gives the clients confidence that they want to deal with us and they're happy to just deal with us. And that's what we do recommend, because the market here, sometimes you see on websites, it's exclusive with this company or exclusive with that company, is not always the case, and rarely, to be honest. So what happens now with the technology as it improves every year, there's a huge database that all of the agents, we feed all of our properties into this database. So if I need to find something that I don't actually have right now, I can go into this database and see that's with an agency around the corner. I know all the people I deal with, they trust me, and I make sure I trust them. So then we can work together to find that property if we don't have it directly ourselves. So I think the market here is moving a little bit more towards the American model, which is exactly that. You find your realtor and that person takes care of everything. So we take responsibility for everything all the time. So that even if that's furniture companies or dealing with the other agents. So basically, if a client says to me, right, I need this, this, and this, then I would then build a portfolio of properties for them to see before they come. And then that will include analysing the market to see if I'm missing anything. And if I am, then I'll be speaking to other agencies before they come to say, okay, we'd like to work together to sell that property. The truth is, I receive a commission from the vendor if I sell their property. If I sell a property through another agency, then we have to share the commission. But the reality is that when you listen to a client, you've got a client in front of you, then you're single-mindedly trying to find the single best thing for them, be it your own thing or you're sharing with somebody else. It doesn't matter, because the end goal is to make sure the clients are happy and they find their ideal home. So if the clients are happy with what we offer, then they don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Let's look at the actual market and what it's like at the moment, and heading into 2023. I imagine a lot of people watching this, they might not be planning to purchase before the end of the year. They might squeeze it in, but otherwise they're ready to hit it hard in 2023. So what are conditions like? I'm hearing there's not a lot of new stock, so it's quite competitive for the best properties. Just give us an idea of conditions.
Well, a lot like other countries as well, nobody expected what would happen after the pandemic, which was the demand going through the roof. And we've had this problem now for the last sort of 18 months. Is there's just a lack of supply of new properties coming on the market. So the demand is massive and the supply is very little. So of course that's pushing the prices up. That's not changed. The market here traditionally was sort of British and Irish. Then because of a scheme here called the
NHR.
Non-residential. I can't think of it now. Because of that, what was it, Joanna?
Non-habitual residence.
Non-habitual tax residency. Yeah, it's been a long day. Because of that sort of scheme, that meant a lot of clients from the countries where they were paying really high taxes, such as France and Sweden, they came. So we had British, then Northern European, Swedish, French. So that came. And then now the brand new market for Portugal is the North Americans. So that's the Americans and Canadians, which is a huge market. So the total population of that area is 360 million. So take 1% of those people that are fed up with the politics, fed up with Trump or Biden, or fed up with both of them, and just 1% sick of that. And in all of the publicity and media in America and Canada, the single best place in Europe that is recommended to them in all their magazines and newspapers in Europe is the Algarve, not Portugal, but the actual Algarve. So they're coming over, and like I said, if you just take 1% of that, that's sort of 3 million people, and the population of Portugal is 10 or 11 million. So that sort of demand coming in and inquiring and looking for properties when we've got tens of thousands of properties for sale in total. That sounds like a lot, but it's not, because most of them nobody likes. It's huge. So the situation of the demand and supply is not going to change in the short term. We're still really, really busy. This is normally a period of time where we can slow down and take care of different things, design a new leaflet for next year and things. It's normally a nice period of time where we catch up, but we're still out with clients every single day, and everybody is. So in a way, we hope it slows down a little bit so we can prepare for next year, because you're right. Normally from about the 20th of December is when people have started to break up for Christmas, is when all the new inquiries start, and then we're up and going for next year. Don't see it changing. So I think despite, and this is where again is a bit of an anomaly, despite inflation, despite the prices going up for heating and all the problems in Ukraine, it doesn't seem to change the thirst and the desire for people buying here.
And so what that means to people listening who want to buy in the Algarve is, I'm guessing, if you like something, act fast, because it'll go to someone else or do people come in with higher bids, higher offers? I'm presuming there's a lot of demand for the best properties.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's not a nice market to be working in, because it's nice to be able to say to a client, what do you think? And think about it overnight, and then, or maybe, no, if you need to go home and think about it, that's fine, but we have to tell our clients that there's a real risk you're going to lose this. And it feels a bit of a hard sell, and that's probably why we feel awkward saying that. But you have to tell the clients, listen, they've got another 4 viewings this afternoon. So if this is the one for you, we need to move quickly on it. Sometimes a couple of times this year, we've had a situation where like gazumping occurs, and we have to speak to the vendor and say, listen, this is not really fair. And so, like I say, that's the bit of the market right now that's not nice, because there are too many clients. But fundamentally, in terms of investing here and making sure you're going to make money in the future, then obviously you do want that to be the case. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, you're going to lose money. So we want the pressure, we want the demand, but with every market brings its different issues. But if they see something they like, they've got to move quickly. And what I would say, if clients are thinking of taking a mortgage out here, they should really do that straight away. We can help with that. We can recommend the different banks who are very good. So try to get sort of mortgage based in principle. They still will need to know which property you're going to buy finally, but come out ready to
agreement in principle,
being able to make a decision. Yeah.
And they should do that as soon as before they actually start looking, is what you're saying. So they're in a better
mortgage
position.
Definitely, because you don't like nowadays with the vendors, which is the owners. If you ring up and say the client needs a mortgage, and that can take sort of 6 weeks to get arranged, you're almost not you're not potentially a client really until you're able to move. And I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's only now really where a mortgage with a client, some clients would say, oh, I'm a cash buyer, and it's like, well, wow. It doesn't really matter. It never used to matter, but right this minute, right now, a cash buyer, because really within a few weeks they can have committed, signed a promissory contract, which means you're now committed. So I would best advice if you do need a mortgage is to get that agreed before you come.
Okay, thanks. A little bit more time with you, and then we'll move on to Joanna. Can you just give us an idea of prices at the moment as well? So let's look at your typical 2-bed apartment, which you might be letting for holiday lets, a townhouse, and a 3-4-bed detached villa with a pool in the popular areas. So, well, Golden Triangle, but also the middle of the market areas, Albufeira, Carvalho.
Okay, so yeah. So the Golden Triangle is one of the most expensive regions of Portugal because it includes Quinta do Lago, Valdelobo, and Vila Moura. So like Alan Shearer, Stephen Gerrard, their villas are in that area. So that's not everyone's, nor mine, unfortunately. But as a general rule for the Central Algarve, prices have gone up. So I would say if you want to come out here and buy a nice 2-bedroom apartment, and when I say nice, you're not going to walk in and say, I don't like this and I don't like that. And we all know those sort of properties. We're going to go in and say, yuck. Or a property where you go in and say, I like this and I like that and I like this. So in terms of typical prices there, I think for a 2-bedroom apartment, 250,000 euros. For a 3-bedroom apartment, add another 100, like say 350,000 euros. And for a villa, up in the hills a little bit, sort of 750. Okay, so that's like 10 minutes drive to the coast. If you want to be somewhere like Vila Moura, where you're really in the middle of Vila Moura, you can walk to the marina, walk to all the amenities and everything. Prices now have crept up sort of 900,000 plus, or maybe 750, but you need to do some work. And also, best advice is for clients is that if you come out and say, I want brand new and modern, really difficult. If you come out saying, if I get the right location and I get the right layout, it's better to have an open mind to think, I will. We can work with the builder we recommend and do a little bit of refurbishment, a little bit of renovation. And sometimes that's a better end result than trying to find something perfect right now. And by doing that, you will make money based on everything that's happened in the last few years. You renovate or improve it a little bit. Might be some hassle and inconvenience along the way, but you'll end up with a property that's more to your wishes, and also probably double the amount of money you've invested in terms of the refurbishment. You probably make that back sort of 200% return on the money you've made.
Okay. Thank you very much, David. We're out of time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All useful stuff. Thank you. Hi, Joanna. How are you? You're in the Algarve as well, aren't you? You're in Lisbon, you're telling me. I can't hear you.
Joanna, I think you're on mute.
I was on mute. Sorry.
That was
no the
problem.
instruction. Be mute until it's your turn.
You can talk now.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, I was saying we at Matlaw has offices in the Algarve, Central Algarve, very close to Olive Homes actually, and also in Lisbon. So these locations allow us to cover the majority of clients' options because Portugal is not that big, so we can actually cover the whole territory with our team divided between the Algarve and Lisbon. In fact, the majority of our clients are in these two regions, so Lisbon and Central Lisbon, like Estoril, Cascais, and Central Lisbon, and of course the Algarve, which is also where our firm started many years ago. In the Algarve, we are in Central Algarve, so close to the Golden Triangle that David was talking about. But as it's central, we can also cover the whole region. So it's the desired local solicitors that usually clients are looking for.
Perfect, thank you. So let's just outline just how important your role is, because when a foreigner, whether they're British or American, is buying in Portugal, it's a different language. They're having to set up a fiscal identity. They're dealing with a different process, different property laws. And agents like David are, yes, very useful and helpful, but you also want the sort of formal legal protection as well. So when do clients start talking to you in the process? Do you recommend they're appointing you before they even start looking for a property, before they find one. So they've got that relationship ready on standby.
Definitely, Richard. In fact, well, I like David a lot, but in fact, there is no one looking after buying clients' interest like his or her solicitor, because we are engaged by the clients, of course, also paid by the clients, and our role is to protect the client's interest here. And there is, an in-between, very important sense and sensibility of helping a client, but not threatening the transaction. Because if you want to be that kind of solicitor that will see problems everywhere, you'll be just frightening the client to do any kind of investment. But there is always a risk when buying a property somewhere, even in your own country. So a solicitor must be that person that guides you, informs you, but also helps you going ahead, not being afraid of doing the right move. So it is very important, and sometimes a good conversation at an early stage of the process may help clarifying lots of queries. How does this work? How can we pay the purchase price? Do we need to have an account in Portugal already? Do we need to come over? No, with your solicitor, and actually sometimes we never meet the clients in person. We do, like David was saying, just a Zoom call. Sometimes the client comes here once to look at the property, and we take the opportunity to have a meeting, face-to-face meeting at the office, and to have and collect clients' powers of attorney. And with powers of attorney from client, we will be able to act throughout the process, from beginning until the end and afterwards. So we will be representing the client here and the client's interest in one purchase, or if the client suddenly misses the offer or has to change property to another asset, we can continue assisting the client until the investment is finished, and afterwards, if the client decides to renovate and the client will need works contracts with builders, the client will need lease agreements with tenants, the client will need licensing to have a short-term letting activity in Portugal, client will need to assistance with taxation in Portugal, with payment of taxes in Portugal for income generated here. So as solicitors, absolutely and 100% focused on real estate investment and real estate management, let's say, in Portugal, we assist the clients with all those matters. And there is also another aspect which has been increasing significantly over the last few years, especially after Brexit, which is assistance with the relocation to Portugal, with all the visa requirements and also the benefits, tax benefits that a newly resident can get by
We'll talk about the visas in a minute. Can I just check? Is your mic?
NHR that David was trying to explain that has been attracting many clients from other countries.
Just going back to the buying process now, can we just talk through the different steps so listeners know what to expect? So someone comes out to Portugal, David finds them a home, helps them negotiate and agree at a price. Mm-hmm. Their offer's accepted. At that point, this is where your work really starts. So I'm imagining they'll be asked to pay a reservation deposit, mm-hmm. reservation fee. And then they contact you to say, I found this property, and then they might be speaking to David as well. I'm going to pay this reservation fee, and then the process kicks in. So what happens from that point?
Although it is very common that a reservation, a symbolic amount is paid to show the goodwill and intention of securing that property. Actually, the property is not effectively out of the market and officially reserved until a promissory note or promissory agreement is signed and a non-refundable deposit is paid. That's the deposit that Seb was talking about, first payment and then the last lump sum at the end. So this initial deposit may vary, according to the parties' agreement, and actually David can advise on that, but the highest the deposit, the more attractive can be for the vendor to accept a proposal. And that can also be used, you know, in when competing with other offers. Usually a deposit varies between 10 and 30%. It can go higher, of course, but why it is so important to manage and to be sure that all the legal and technical due diligence has been done before this deposit is paid and this promissory contract is signed, because this amount is non-refundable.
Okay.
So if then there is, and of course, depending on the situation, but if then the buyer decides to pull out for any reason, for example, because the exchange rate was not in favor and there are no longer funds to complete the agreed deal, then this deposit is non-refundable. So answering your question, with the powers of attorney, and even without that, immediately we can start working on legal due diligence and also technical. David was talking about survey and mortgage. We need to be in straight communication with the client, because we will structure these transactions, specific transaction, in the most efficient, tax efficient way possible to the client. So there are clients deciding to buy through a company that is based in the UK, or a company they want to set up in Portugal. There are clients willing to buy not in their direct names, but in their children's name, for example, with their life of right of use for a lifetime. So the structure of the transaction is really important to be defined at the very beginning. And also, if there is a mortgage, that will necessarily impact the timing. You know, David was saying about that, and also the structure of our own powers of attorney and of the deal, because we will always represent the client in the whole transaction. So if we need to sign loan and mortgage deals and property purchase deals, we need to combine all that. So strict communication and defining, structuring the business from the very beginning is crucial. Along with legal due diligence will always focus on the asset, the property, and on the stakeholders, so the vendors, especially when there is a company selling, or when the client is buying a property through a company, or buying the company instead of the property. That is all possible, and that will all impact your solicitor's services and the key elements to take in consideration. Then we have the negotiation and agreement of the promissory note that we were talking about. As your solicitors, we will have powers, and we can represent the client on the signing of this so important contract. And we also have, of course, the possibility and the right to pay this non-refundable deposit on behalf of our clients. We have a client's account, it's a solicitor account, which works kind of as an escrow account, where we receive and we pay all our clients' funds. So we are very often in direct communication with the exchange companies that the clients hire, and we have to be very strict with regards to security of where these funds are coming and going to. So we pay this deposit. The property is officially out of the market. So and why I say this, because of course, if the buyer fails to complete, the buyer will lose the deposit. But if the vendor fails to complete, according to the Portuguese law, and if the parties haven't agreed otherwise, the buying party will be entitled to the double of the deposit paid. So it's kind of a penalty clause that works automatically. So that is why I say that the property is now officially out of the market, because it has to be very attractive, to receive a proposal that will compensate paying double of the deposit to the former buyer.
And you said it's normally about 10%.
It's
down
normally
on the promissory.
It's normally 10%. Yeah, it can be higher, especially if there is a bid, for a specific property. It's common that not only the price increases, but the deposit paid increases, because it also increases the risk of this buying party, and it's good for both parties. The buyer knows that it's unlikely that the vendor will pull out, because he will have to refund not 20, but
Even more.
40 of 20% deposit. And the vendor, of course, will have more cash at a very early stage of the process.
Yeah.
And then we will work towards completion as soon as possible, or according to the time scale that the parties have agreed. Sometimes properties are used for permanent habitation, so the vendors need to organize all the move. Sometimes they need works to be done before completion, or it can happen in 1 week. Sometimes it is very, very tailor-made. That is what I need to say. Although we have all these steps, parties' autonomy, it's huge, and we can tailor a transaction according to the needs. I just received the client's instructions that want to complete in 2 weeks. So let's go ahead. Let's do it. Yeah.
And that's possible, is it? That'll happen.
Yes, that will happen.
What's a typical what's a sale your clients, David? Is it really variable, or what are most people buying a second home, for example? What is it? 6 weeks to complete from the day of making an offer, or?
Yes, on average, I would say 6 weeks, month and a half,
Yeah.
or 2 months, because it's really also depending on what I was explaining, whether there is technical survey required, or there are works needed, or removal. But usually, and also many buying clients don't have the funds, even if it's a cash purchase, don't have the funds, just available on a normal bank account. They probably have it in a savings account, or they need to organize transfer of funds in order to complete. So I would say the 6 months, it's a normal timeline.
6 weeks.
Yes. 6 weeks. Not.
Can I just add something there? So obviously, when you agree, when you've got the client out and they make an offer and you agree the price, then the vendor is expecting urgent action because they've now agreed. And as we say, with the stage one, the reservation, which is normally say like €6,000 or something, would be transferred to the client's lawyer. So if they chose to work with Joanna, then I would ask my client to transfer €6,000 or something similar as a goodwill gesture to Joanna, and Joanna holds that in her client's account. And that means the vendor knows the clients are serious. It's as simple as that. If they change their mind, they get the money back, but it means that the clients are serious. And then we tell the vendor, look, within 2 weeks, hopefully we'll do the promissory contract, which is like an exchange back in the UK.
And that's normally what, a couple of weeks after, is it, or a month?
Yeah, but so in those 2 weeks, what's necessary is the lawyer or solicitor, it's the same thing really. The lawyer that has been appointed must be able to do the due diligence report and tell the clients to transfer the money over. So it's important to make sure that whichever lawyer the purchaser uses is going to be efficient, as a proper firm, a team of 4 or 5 people. So if Joanna's away, her number 2 steps in, and that does happen with Joanna's firm. And that's what we say. Like if you pick a lawyer, sometimes clients come over and say, oh, we've got a friend in Corvuero and she's fantastic. Hope those clients who use that lawyer in Corvuero are not listening. And I ring up that lawyer and she says, I'm on holiday for 3 weeks, which is just exactly what happens. Then the vendor gets fed up and my clients lose the property because the lawyers are unable to, I don't get the due diligence done quickly. 2 weeks is possible. You need all the paperwork from the vendor quickly, and the lawyer needs to be efficient and organized and get going, do the due diligence and report back to the clients. It's called a report on title, saying this property has no legal issues. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and blah, 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 blah. The owner is indeed the owner. There is debt, but it will be cleared. So 2 weeks is what you agree with the vendor needs to then be followed up quickly, because the market we're in is that if the vendor gets fed up because we mislead or we give them the wrong expectations, then the vendor says, you know what, it's back on the market. And so we've got to make sure, when we make the offer, we give the timescale. So we make the offer, promissory in 2 weeks. Which firm of lawyers are you using? Or we're using Matt Law, which is Joanna's. Okay, fine, good, because they're a good firm. And completion, say, another 2 weeks or 4 weeks after that. The first thing is, the most important thing is to rush quickly to the promissory, which is the exchange, because once that's signed, both parties say, right, we're relaxed. And then the clients can chill out. And the deed's not so important because they know they've got that property and it's theirs to enjoy when it.
And there are a lot of things. Sorry, David, it's very, very useful. And there are a lot of things that sometimes clients may think, oh, well, this will complicate. For example, clients who ask us to buy through a company that they already have in the UK. Oh, we need to register the company first. We can go to the promissory, we can close and exchange contracts and secure the property and take care of the property of the company registration until completion. So it's not necessarily a step to be taken beforehand. So it's manageable, and this timeline is really important. And provided all the documentation, all the information is granted by the vendor, and usually it is, because good agents also collect as much information as possible, so they know that they will be able to act quickly, and then it will be possible to secure and to take the property out of the market with the promissory signing, even if there are, powers of attorney outstanding or company registration needed until completion. But then we have the time to sort all those matters. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, because obviously you use notaries in Portugal, so you'll then arrange, Joanna, with I guess you have a number of notaries that you use.
That we work with.
You'll go and fix a date for completion according to the vendor and the buyer's requirements. And then, like you said, some of your clients, they're not even there for completion. So you can do that.
No. We advise the clients to come over when the property is there. It's already their property, so they can pick up the keys.
I think I'd like to get the keys in my hand, but yeah.
They collect the keys at our office or with the agents, and they go and they have a place to stay, clean and to enjoy and to celebrate. So with a good glass of wine, it's even better. It makes sense because we can do our work without being, oh my God, the client is here and we need to make sure this. If something happens or if we need to postpone completion for morning to the afternoon, it will be possible, and it's all in Portuguese normally. It can be if the clients want to come over and to sign, then we will need translators. We can also be the translators, of course, but it's even better if we can handle everything and just collect keys and give them the very good news that the property is now theirs. Because in Portugal, transfer of ownership happens with the signing, with completion, with the signing of the deed. For example, in Germany, you have to register, and only in that moment you'll become the official owner. In Portuguese civil law, it's a bit different. So from the moment we sign, the property is of the client, and the client is ready to move in.
Brilliant. And listening to you talk, I mean, your English is brilliant. It makes you realise just how important a bilingual lawyer is, properly bilingual, someone who, is as fluent as you.
And that is, of all our team is English speaking, and we also have French, and I speak a bit of Italian and Spanish, but in French, but English I prefer to work in English. It's much better. What I was saying, I was forgetting. David touched in a point that is so important. I love to enjoy a holiday, and I think it's really important also to provide a good service. But we, the audience is just saying me, it's not possible to do a good work if you work alone. That is my opinion. So we do have a team, and no one is ever alone in one process. I can, die just crossing the road. So it's really important that the client gets the service. And if I'm not at the office for any reason, there is a colleague, and we have regular meetings, team meetings. So everybody knows what is happening. And there is always one person which is a lawyer, in charge. So this is to say that the clients will always receive emails with other people copied in, or it's not that I'm sending information to someone they don't know. It's our team, and it's really important that the communication is clear.
Okay, brilliant. Conscious of the time, we haven't talked about buying costs on top of the purchase price, so I want to do that. And then very quickly, can you run through what the NHR is, non-habitual residence scheme?
Oh, yeah.
And also for people who are looking to relocate, the main visa options. I know we've got the D7 is probably the most appropriate one for most people. and any others. So the purchase price, a €500,000 property, what should people budget on top of that to cover fees, taxes, notary fees, etc.? I know you have a scale.
I always recommend the worst case scenario. Okay, so when you're budgeting, also because you may need some extra work, some renovation, but always we try to recommend the clients to save or to allow between 8 to 10% of a property purchase price for costs. Okay,
Perfect.
because, and why is this? Of course, the property transfer tax is progressive. And it will always also depend, for example, on the specific property the client is buying. If it's a property that is located in a resort, that is, with all golf facilities and so on, usually it has a flat property transfer tax rate. If it's a property licensed for habitation and housing purposes, the tax will be progressive. So it is really important that and how do we proceed? We analyze the documents. At the moment we sign the promissory, we know exactly how much this will cost, and we can prepare a provisional breakdown of costs so the clients know how much they will need to send over to complete this purchase. We will also bear in mind if the client is applying for a mortgage, there will be additional costs with the mortgage, but also the additional lump sum of the mortgage, so the client will need to send funds over to Portugal. So at this moment, after analyzing the documentation and calculating tax, we know exactly how much it will cost, and it won't go above 10%, on a worst case scenario. So it's always better to give good news than bad news, and
Absolutely.
So the 10% is the best. About the ANIJAR you were asking, the ANIJAR is a tax benefit, a tax scheme that was designed to attract people moving to Portugal. High net worth people, mainly, I would say. It's very attractive for pensioners because foreign pension income under this ANIJAR scheme is taxed in Portugal at 10%. This is a status that lasts for 10 years. So it's a good retirement aid, period to come to Portugal and enjoy. This scheme may be sold or presented in websites and on the internet as a tax-free incentive, and it's not. It is really important to make an assessment on the application of the non-habitual ANIJAR rules to the client's current and prospective income over this 10-year period, to then conclude if it's interesting for the client, and also to allow the client making decisions. Like if, for example, it is likely to have capital gains taxation during this 10-year period. Maybe the clients want to anticipate or to postpone the sale of specific assets to avoid this taxation. So this assessment is really important because once you are in, you cannot escape. So you will be treated as an ANIJAR. So the ANIJAR is really attractive and is attracting people from all over the world to Portugal because of this. About the residency and the schemes that are available, especially after Brexit, this has become a very hot topic. We continue having two most attractive are the D7, which is for people who is able to live from their own savings, and whether they are pensioners, they have savings from financial investments, or they have rental income, passive income generally. Okay, it is also nowadays it's not necessary because a new visa was just recently approved for digital nomads because Portugal is becoming a very attractive hub for people willing to work remotely for all over the world. So a new visa is now in place for the specific cases, but the D7 was before also used for these applicants. And on the other hand, we also have the so-called golden visa. It's not golden, but it has some very attractive characteristics. namely the minimum periods required to maintain the residency, the right of residency, are very, very short. So you are a resident, meaning that you have a title, a residence card and a title, although you only need to spend 2 weeks in Portugal each year. Of course, the golden visa is more expensive in terms of charges, but it also allows, if other rules are met, allows avoiding the need of allows avoiding tax implications on a relocation process to Portugal. So it is a visa for investors. So who wants to do an investment in Portugal, and because of that investment is entitled to this type of visa.
Great, thank you very much. David, most of your clients who are relocating, are they coming to Portugal on D7s? What are you seeing typically with clients at the moment?
D7s, yeah. The British, obviously, since Brexit, the British now they can benefit from the golden visa. So really, if you're either gonna be here or you're gonna pretend to be here. If you're gonna pretend to be here, it's the golden visa route, because you can't actually be here in person, and then you can get the passport that way, which means you need to invest more than $500,000, or there's different variations, but $500,000 normally. Or the D7 route is you are here and you earn like €1,000 a month or something, just a basic amount to prove you can afford to be here. And yeah, the market's changed a little bit this year, because we have had far more people looking at relocation rather than a second home. So, we've had to sort of expand the service we give. We used to do it anyway, but now we will take people when we're touring. We can take people to the various schools and have a tour when we get to the school. We know the people say, look, would you mind showing Mr. and Mrs. Smith around, and their children are this age. So it's been common that people have said, we're selling at home, sold at home, or they've sold their business and they want to come out here, hook, line and sinker, as to say. So and those people are D7. So, but it just depends. The decision is, can you be here or not? If you can be here, do the D7, is cheaper and easier. If you cannot, you've got no option but to do the golden visa, unless you want to do the 90 days 180, 90, 180, and you can jump around with the tourist one. But most people who want to sort of live here, that's not good enough and it's too difficult. And they do stamp the passports now when you come in and out. So it used to be easy to not really care about that, but now times catch up, and now eventually they'll say, no, you've been here too long and you've got to sort it out. So if you do think you can escape, then eventually Portugal does catch up with everybody eventually. So you either need the D7 or a golden visa.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Richard, David. Yeah. For many clients, the British passport and the 90-day is more than enough, because especially for people looking for a second home, you won't spend more than 3 or 6 months in a year. 3 months with the 90 days on a holiday. It would be great to have a large holiday like that, but many clients come to us, panicking because they are not resident. They don't have a D7 or a golden visa. They just say you don't need it. So calm, because Brexit has British people a lot. They think they can come. Of course you can, and you don't need a visa to come. You have your passport and you have a visa exemption for tourism. So many people can just stay here. If they really look at the 90-day plus 90-day period, they can enjoy the country for a long time without needing a D7 or even a golden visa. So
that is very reassuring. Thank you. We're actually running over time, and I've saved our one question to the end, so we will address it now. I'm not sure if this is David or Joanna, but it's from Craig Massey, and he asks, if we were going to retire to Portugal, not on the golden visa, so I guess D7, can we run an Airbnb from our property? So I'm guessing that's the property that they'll be living in, letting out rooms, or they've got an annex or something. Is there anything stopping them from doing that? Would they need a license? You need a license to do that?
Yes. So a property to be on an Airbnb now and to be promoted online needs a license number and to meet some legal and security requirements. and also taxation on rental income in Portugal. But it is possible to have that license in a traditional house that is licensed purposes, so it's not part of a resort or already in a hotel scheme. And then once you have that license, you can run it, even if you are living there, you can run it in a B&B, a bedroom and breakfast, or you can not live in there and have your business here. And you don't actually need to be in Portugal to do that. There are many clients who invest in Portugal and have their properties, their second home properties licensed for that activity, and well, capitalizing the investment here.
Okay. Sadly, we are over time. So thank you very much, Sebastian, David and Joanna. We appreciate you giving up an hour in your evening and providing such useful information. Thank you to everyone who's watching, whether that's you've watched it live now or you've downloaded it and watched it from the website. Good luck with your plans to buy in Portugal, whether you do it by the end of 2022 or in 2023. Use these guys who we've had on the panel today, invaluable experts, Golden Three, for helping you to buy safely and relocate. Don't forget, we've got other resources available on the Your Overseas Home website, more webinars, guides, and information on sister website, Property Guides as well. So use that. And then, of course, we've got our other biannual virtual event on the 12th of November, where there'll be more webinars and there'll be other, David and other people, other partners will be there in real time, who you'll be able to chat to and have discussions like we've had today, which is a perfect stepping stone for going on a viewing trip and actually progressing towards buying in Portugal. There's the link now. You can see a link on your screen now to register for that event. Really useful event. Otherwise, good luck with everything, and thank you for watching.